Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, a nature photographer based in Northern California. And yes, today's subject is Yosemite National Park. I was grateful to spend 24 hours there earlier this week and to spend some time taking in the fall foliage and the autumn atmospheric conditions, as you saw in that introduction. I had been a tad bit concerned going onto this trip that fall may have come and passed for Yosemite Valley, based on some of the reports I'd seen on social media. But even before I entered the park, I saw a few maples and oak trees nearing peak. I stopped at a small waypoint along the way to photograph an old church enveloped by yellow maples and a few trees that were along the route. I was surprised I was grabbing for the Fuji, the XS20, and the Viltrox lenses that I've picked up to photograph more than I was the Canon R5. I think that's actually because I've been just loving the straight out of camera JPEGs that I've been getting with Reggie's Portra film simulation. I'll link that below. It's a really amazing film simulation. It just looks great, particularly in fall. Once I hit Yosemite Valley, the foliage was absolutely lovely. There were cottonwoods and elm trees, sugar maples, and black oak. I stopped at a few of my favorite viewpoints off Big Oak Flat Road to catch a glimpse of the conditions and to look at Half Dome. I was really pleased to see that there was a lot of atmosphere going into the valley. That made it a little bit easier to check out one of the most amazing, albeit quite popular spots, Tunnel View. I have a love-hate relationship with Tunnel View, mainly because of the crowds. Rightfully so. It's an exceptional location for capturing photos of the vista of Yosemite Valley. You have the iconic face of El Capitan on one side, Half Dome in the center, and Bridalveil Falls on the other. It's undeniably captivating, and I often tell myself when I get there that I'll hike a little bit up to Artist Point from the parking lot to escape the crowds, but I rarely do this, and I think it's because I just don't want to miss the conditions, whatever they may be at Tunnel View when I arrive. I just want to pick up my camera and start shooting. Cloud cover was really strong, and it gave the vista an intense atmosphere. I actually like that you cannot see Half Dome in these shots. It's obscured by this intense cloud cover. So I shot for a little bit, and then I headed into the valley to set up my camp. Just as I hit the valley floor, the clouds opened up and it began to rain. Large, intermittent drops at first that soon became a really heavy downpour. It was about 50 degrees, but it felt more like a summer thunderstorm than a fall rain. I pulled over and I threw on my waterproof gear. This is my kind of conditions for fall photography. I love the way the leaves shine in weather like this, even if it tests our camera equipment and our personal resolve. The black oak trees of the valley that you first see when you're entering in the valley from Tunnel View caught my eye in particular. It was near perfect fall foliage. Orange with a hint of green still, their dark trunks creating a very nice contrast. Fresh rain glistening on the leaves. I hung out in this black oak grove for a bit, photographing these amazing trees. My gear was completely soaked at this point, and the sun was setting, so I went to my campsite to set up in the rain for what would be an amazing morning. Overnight, the rain was pretty intense, and I didn't sleep much. Everything was soaked because I was setting up my tent in the rain, and I was occasionally awakened to the sound of tree limbs snapping, which wasn't exactly a comforting sound to hear when you're in a tent. I woke up at 5 a.m. the next morning, and I was exhausted, but it was worth it. A thick fog had surrounded the valley, really encased the valley, and a friend texted me to let me know that the view was incredible from above. So I headed back to Tunnel View, somewhat begrudgingly. There were a few people there, but these unusual conditions made for exceptional landscape photography. A deep fog had rolled in overnight as the temperatures dropped towards the dew point. While I was getting busy getting soaked in my tent, nature had been busy creating an amazing scene. As the sun neared the horizon, a cool pastel sky emerged, perfectly complementing the high contrast scene below in the valley, with the trees and the fog dancing in between pine trees. I love this photo. I got particularly lucky that some fog was pulling diagonally in from the lower left side towards the center of the frame and from the right side. It gives you more time to spend exploring the image. I don't know about you, but the way I look at this is I quickly look at the center, but then my eye immediately goes to the bottom left. It follows the fog towards the center and then picks up on the right side with Bridal Veil Falls and then follows the fog that's there towards El Capitan. Sometimes the photo and what we find compelling is actually more a reflection of how much time we spend on the image, or you could think of it as vice versa. When you see an image that pulls you in where you want to spend time looking at it and exploring it, that's something that we process as a good photo. So for me, this image where I spend a lot of time exploring where the fog is and then all the amazing parts of the vista of Yosemite Valley, this all connects to me as a really interesting photo, to me, may not to you, just because I can spend a lot of time exploring the image and processing it and finding little things in it that I didn't see at first. I was grateful to capture this grand vista, but it was the close-ups of the fog that really kept me there for a while. I spent about an hour trying to capture some telephoto perspectives that focus attention on the fog and the trees, maybe with a nod here and there to the granite rock of Yosemite just to give kind of a location waypoint or connection, touchstone. But really, this is about the fall vibe, the fog itself, and the pine trees with little pops of color of the deciduous trees that are changing color in the valley. It was just an incredible morning to shoot. From here, I meandered back to my campsite just to pack up. My stuff was soaking wet and I wanted to dry as long as possible. Before hopping in the car and doing the 4-hour drive back to the Bay Area, I brought out the infrared filter to capture some infrared black and white images of this iconic park. This is my first time trying the Fujifilm XS20 and the Viltrox 75 f1.2 lens, along with my Hoya R72 infrared filter. I was really pleased to find out that this combo produces no hotspots at all. So as long as I was willing to shoot with a wide aperture, exposure times were really quick and it was easy to handhold for these images. Of course, Yosemite is an exceptional spot for black and white photography, and specifically infrared because it heightens contrast and renders sky and granite particularly well. While I was walking along the valley floor, I noticed the crescent moon was setting just behind El Capitan. I couldn't believe my eyes. At 75 millimeters, or about 115 millimeters full frame equivalent, I could get just close enough to be able to crop to the shot that I wanted later. It was a truly special shot to me. I continued on in the forest, focusing on where the light was falling and how it lit deciduous trees versus pine trees and pine needles. The effort yielded some nice black and white shots. I used the Acros plus R film simulation to render these JPEGs in camera. I had to get home to Berkeley soon because my incredible wife was taking care of our kids on this short visit. As I was leaving, though, I saw the light dancing on the falling stream of Bridal Veil Falls once more. It was unusually full given the recent rain. So I stopped and composed what might be my favorite shot of the whole trip. So here the infrared filter is actually playing double duty. It's restricting the light so much because it's focusing on a specific wavelength for infrared photography that it's also acting as something like an ND filter, a neutral density filter. This is allowing me to extend the exposure time significantly. So I was able to shoot at a 3-second exposure time at f5 with a base ISO of 160. I took about 10 shots trying to time the light just right as a beam of sunlight hit the middle of the image and the falls. I like this shot so much that it's now my phone wallpaper. And with that, I started the trip back to the Bay Area to be home to tuck my oldest in for bed. A brief 24 hours in Yosemite, but man was it packed with fun. I even got to hit some hail on the way out of the park. I could not have asked for more. But the universe delivered, and as I drove through the rolling hills of Central California, I watched as immense storm clouds formed in the distance. With my infrared filter still on, I captured the scene. And with that, I'll end this little travel vlog. I hope you enjoyed the images today. Some of them are just really special to me, if not just because they document what an incredibly beautiful place I'm fortunate to live in here in Northern California. I can't wait to get back for more. It was way too short, and I would have happily stayed a full week, but I'm heading back sometime in the winter, probably January, to capture some of these same scenes, but to do it during the winter season. So stay tuned. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel because I'll be putting out more content like this and hopefully have some more amazing experiences like the one I had this past week. Bye.